G'day, my name is Langford. I'm 19, I study at Automotive and I study my Diploma of Music, Performance. So I grew up in a hippie commune, shout out to my mum. Yeah, and it was always, music and backpackers and, just from a young age I was always just tapping, on pots and pans and everything, and, all of a sudden I got a drum kit given to me and I was like this little kid like playing drums, and it all kind of evolved from there. So yeah, I play a lot of instruments. I play keys, guitar, bass, I play abstract things like, tuba and xylophone and stuff like that. But my real love is drums. I play drums professionally. I've been playing professionally for about 6 months, like more or less full time. And yeah, it was my first instrument, my first love. It's still my love to this day. The list of people I'm inspired by could fill an entire stadium. Like really, I listen to everything. I really dive deep into discographies of people that I just find. I listen to a lot of dream pop, and I listen to a lot of King Cruel and Home Shake and Steve Lacy, and they all kind of have this very do-it-yourself, independent, like I'm in my bedroom, and I'm in my bedroom creating something from me. It's kind of like that dream trance state that you get in. I'm very inspired by jazz greats, both past, present, and emerging, and so diving into like the world of jazz, I was like, wow, what is possible with these chords? Like, what can I play that doesn't make sense music theory-wise, but makes sense emotionally? The first song I ever wrote was with this guy called Paul Mack. So he's a professor at the conservatorium. I went there for a summer program when I was about 14. Yeah, it was amazing seeing how a studio works. And I immediately went home and bugged my dad for a little MacBook to get GarageBand on. I got a secondhand $200 MacBook and just plugged it in with musical typing. Another important thing about my music is that I add a lot of layers. I just add and add and add and add and add and add and add. And that's my creative process. It's kind of like sporadic and eccentric and ADHD, I just add a whole bunch. And then a big part of it is taking away, and it should be adding to the point where you're like, my file's corrupted. I've added too much, I've had a system overload, and then you take back. Probably my favorite song that I've written is Apricot Eyes, purely just because it was when I was getting really into wordplay, like peak COVID. I moved to Sydney, 5 hours away from home, alone, to study music, to kind of chase my dream. So when I wrote Jazz and Shit, the album, it was kind of like a collection of songs that I wanted to post, but I wasn't brave enough. And with my 18th birthday kind of around the corner, I was like, this is my time to create a bit of a legacy. He was 17, he wrote this. I really wanted to make something that was different and unique, and had influences from jazz, had influences from my early work doing EDM, and then had influences from just myself, my inner being. My next album, Running, is kind of like this big concept on what the word running means, and what it represents, whether that's physical, spiritual, emotional, aspirational, because you can run towards and run away from things. It's kind of like an album that I can pause on and kind of think, what am I running from? What am I running towards? What are my goals? Yeah, the main ideas: love, lust, envy, pride, all the sins, everything, because I'm playing 3-4 nights a week, because otherwise my dreams are not going to happen.